Today we have one of the best budget gaming laptops with awesome looks and decent performance. The Acer Nitro 5 with Ryzen 7 7000 series CPU and Nvidia's RTX 3050 was released in Feb 2023. AMD kind of dropped the ball with their 6000 series laptop, but they have come back swinging. It has similar looks of Acer Nitro 5 Intel 12th Gen variant which came in 2022, but there's a minor change of top lid of this laptop which is plain as compared to Intel's red and blue design. This laptop is priced at ₹90,000 at online channels and is available at Creative Laptop exclusive Acer store in Ludhiana at a great discount. More about them later. This video has been divided into these sections to help you navigate to desired part of the video. Starting from the general specifications, it comes with Ryzen 7 7735HS processor which has 8 cores and 16 threads and clock speed range of 3.2 to 4.75 GHz with 35 watt TDP. It has AMD Radeon 680M onboard iGPU, and talking about the DGPU, it has RTX 3050 with 4GB of GDDR6 VRAM and a maximum TDP of 95 watts. It has 8GB of DDR5 RAM clocked at 4800 MHz. I strongly think that now companies should change their theory of saving a few bucks by giving 8GB of RAM in gaming laptops instead of 16GB of RAM, as 16GB of RAM is a must for full utilization of CPU and GPU to get the best performance. Lastly, it has a 512GB Gen 4 SSD. Now that you know about the general specifications of this laptop, let's quickly head over to the screen. It has a 15.6 inches Full HD IPS panel with native resolution of 1920 by 1080p and an aspect ratio of 16 by 9. It has 170-degree viewing angles and an anti-glare display with 144Hz refresh rate and a brightness of 250 nits, which is lower than average and might give some problems seeing things when outdoors. It has good contrast ratio of 1180 by 1, so the blacks will appear more blacks and the whites will appear more white. It has a 53% sRGB color gamut, which again is an indication of cost saving, as this won't give good color output for content creators where color accuracy is required. But it has a good response time of 26 milliseconds and supports G-Sync for a tear-free gaming experience. And since this is an AMD laptop, it also comes with the support of AMD's FreeSync, so best of both worlds. Now let's take a look at the other features that this laptop has to offer. It has a mux switch. It does not have any advanced Optimus, which means you'll have to restart the laptop for the mux switch to take effect. It has one always-on USB port which can be used to charge other devices even when the laptop is powered down. It has Type-C laptop charging available at 65 watts, so you don't need to carry a massive power brick everywhere. It has 4-zone RGB keyboard and a decent-sized trackpad, and it has Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth version 5.2. Now let's take a look at the build and the design of this laptop. It has an all plastic build as all Nitro 5s have had in the past, and it comes in black color with matte finish. The Intel 12th Gen model had a red-blue design, but the AMD model has a plain lid with a small and subtle Acer logo on it, giving it a very clean and sophisticated look. It has some top lid flex which is to be expected, and a little keyboard flex is also present. The screen has a little wobble and doesn't wobble much while typing. The hinge quality feels good and sturdy. It can easily be opened with one hand. It has rounded corners which make it easy to handle the laptop. It has dimensions of 13.8 inches by 10.67 inches by 1.02 inches and weighs around 2.5 kg. It has a big vent under the laptop, 2 exhaust vents on the sides along with 2 down-firing speakers of 2 watt each which provide a good sound but negligible bass. Here are what they sound like. It also has vents on the backside and on the top of the keyboard. It has a relatively small 57.5 watt-hour battery and comes with a 180 watt charger. But the battery test told a different story, as despite having a smaller battery, it lasted for about 5 hours in video playback and 1.2 hours in gaming. This is due to the good power management of AMD processors, which has been a really good selling point for AMD in comparison to Intel, which drain battery really fast even with P and E cores introduction. It has a 720p HD camera which records at 30 FPS and has temporal noise reduction. Coming to the keyboard, it has a full-size keyboard with a bit mushy key presses which feels good while typing and has a very little key travel of 1.5mm. It has highlighted WASD and arrow keys for that gamerly feel, and has 4 zones of RGB lighting, which is my personal favorite of all gaming laptops which have 4-zone RGB keyboards. It does not have a separate power button and lies on the top right of the keyboard. The trackpad is fully clickable and has multi-gesture support. It feels smooth to use and is a perfectly sized trackpad, not too big, not too small, and it does not come in contact with palms while typing in my experience. Now let's take a look at the ports it has to offer. It has one USB Type-C and 3 USB Type-A ports. Starting from the left, it has one RJ45 Ethernet port facing downwards, one USB Type-A 3.2 Gen 1 port and one audio mic combo jack. On the right side, it has two USB Type-A 3.2 Gen 2 ports. The one on the right has always-on port functionality. On the back side, we have one power port, one USB Type-C 3.2 Gen 2 port which supports display output of up to 4K 60Hz and is connected to the iGPU and has power delivery option up to 65 watts. And at the last, it has one HDMI 2.1 port which connects to the DGPU and supports display up to 4K 60Hz. It has a typical port selection which usually all laptops have. It has an added bonus of Type-C charging and USB Type-A and always-on USB. Now let's talk about the upgrade options of this laptop. This laptop has two M.2 Gen 4 slots which support up to 1 TB of Gen 4 SSD. It may support 2 TB as well, but I could not find the necessary information anywhere. Even the customer care executives gave a vague answer for this. I can't confirm this, so if anyone has this information, please comment down below. It has two RAM slots which can be upgraded with 16 GB of DDR5 RAM up to 4800 MHz each. So don't spend your money on faster 5600 MHz as it will bottleneck the performance to 4800 MHz anyways. And it has one upgradable Wi-Fi and Bluetooth M.2 slot. It has its own performance control software known as the NitroSense software. It provides with basic tools to take control of the laptop's performance by giving some tweaking options like manual fan control, which lets you to control the speeds of the fan according to user needs. Although this feature is not really useful in practical scenarios, but it's still a feature that many gaming laptops don't have. It has various operation mode like quiet mode, default mode and performance mode. It has an option to turn on or off the mux switch. It has an option to change the RGB lighting of the keyboard. Now let's take a look at the performance benchmarks. Cinebench R23 scored 13,862 in multi-core and 1,546 in single-core performance. Geekbench scored 6,734 in multi-core and 1,847 in single-core. PC Mark 10 scored 6,833. 3D Mark TimeSpy CPU score was 8,660. GPU score was 5,024 and overall score was 5,343. These are good scores on their own, no doubt about it, but they actually compare to Intel's i5 12th Gen and i5 13th Gen laptops, and i5 12th Gen laptops have a lower price tag generally. Now let's see how this laptop performed in gaming benchmarks. I gathered information about its performance in some games from some really reliable sources, and here are the results. All games were tested at 1080p with recommended settings. DLSS was set at balanced wherever there was an option, and ray tracing was set off. GTA 5 gave about 90 FPS at 82 degrees CPU temp and 79 degree GPU temps. Valorant was tested at recommended setting and it gave about 170 FPS at 78 degree CPU and 75 degree GPU temps. CSGO gave about 145 FPS at 78 degree CPU and 77 degree GPU temps. Call of Duty Warzone gave about 90 FPS at 83 degree CPU and 82 degree GPU temps. Far Cry was tested and it gave about 64 FPS at 83 degree CPU and 82 degree GPU temps. RDR2 gave about 68 FPS at 78 degree CPU temps and 84 degree GPU temps. Assassin's Creed Valhalla gave about 65 FPS at 80 degree CPU temps and 82 degrees GPU temps. And lastly, Forza Horizon 5 gave about 60 FPS at 80 degrees CPU temps and 79 degrees GPU temps. If you notice, the performance is similar to Acer Nitro 5 and Dell G15 with Intel's i5 12th Gen CPU. The temps were managed well, but for a Ryzen 7, I was personally expecting the performance to be a bit more. And again, the performance might be bottlenecked due to 8 GB of RAM when 16 GB of RAM is a must to bring out the best out of the modern day hardware in the modern day AAA titles. So this laptop is suitable for light to medium gaming, streaming, creative work, 4K editing, coding, but not too good for machine learning and AI work, and also not too good for 3D modeling as it has 8 GB of RAM and 4 GB of VRAM. For such work, minimum 16 GB of RAM and 6 GB of VRAM is a must. Now let's take a look at the competition of this laptop, that is similar laptops available with similar specs. Acer Nitro 5 with Intel's i5 12th Gen and RTX 3050 is advisable to buy as it has lower price tag of 75,000 with similar performance. The only caveat is that it has DDR4 RAM instead of DDR5, and DDR5 RAM laptops have an advantage of performing equally good even when running on single channel RAM, whereas DDR4 needs dual channel to perform at its best. Next is again Acer Nitro 5 with Ryzen 5 6600H and RTX 3050 and 16 GB of DDR5 RAM. Dell G15 is the best replacement for this laptop as it has Intel's i5 12th Gen with RTX 3050 and 16 GB of DDR5 RAM at a price tag of 77,000. Asus TUF Dash comes close with i5 12th Gen and slightly lower powered CPU with RTX 3050 and 8 GB of DDR5 RAM costing about 74,000. Msi Sword, which has Intel's i5 12th Gen CPU and 16 GB of DDR4 RAM with Gen 4 SSD and RTX 3050 will cost you around 84,000. Lenovo Ideapad, which has Intel's i5 12th Gen CPU, 16 GB of DDR4 RAM and RTX 3050 cost about 75,000, and HP Victus, which has Intel's i5 12th Gen, 16 GB of DDR4 RAM and RTX 3050, it will cost you around 73,000, but keep in mind the screen wobble on this laptop is too damn high. In conclusion, I would like to say that it is a good budget gaming laptop which gives the latest Ryzen 7 CPU and ray tracing experience of RTX 3050. It should be upgraded to 16 GB RAM however to use the maximum potential of this hardware. I feel that this is a bit pricey and we can get same level of performance with Acer Nitro 5 i5 12th Gen and equivalent laptops with similar performance. All in all, it is a good laptop with good features and you can definitely buy this laptop without any regrets. I am really thankful to Creative Laptop Store in Ludhiana, Kochar Market area who had faith in me and provided me with the opportunity to work with this laptop. Creative Store has laptops of all brands and variants available for purchase and a very cooperative staff to understand your needs and help you purchase the laptop accordingly. They have really competitive prices even if you compare it with online channels. Consider buying your next laptop from Creative Store. If you liked the review, please like the video, dislike if you didn't. Tell me about it in the comment section and consider subscribing for more videos like this.